Alright, 99.9 Punk World Radio FM. You guys already know what time it is. And right here, we are actually live with a Bergen, Norway legendary punk rock individual. This individual has been doing his thing since 1999. We have the one and only, we got Tokel of the iconic band GoldenBoy right here in the building. How are you actually doing this evening, I should say? I know down here in Canada, I know the Canadian listeners are going to be like, this evening? I thought this was live. It very much is, but of course it's evening for you, Tokel. So how's everything out there on your end?
It's fine. It's actually 9:30 evening right now. Just had some tacos with my family, with my three beautiful children and my wife. So it's a slow Friday night here in Bergen, Norway.
Hey man, you can never go wrong with taco dinner nights, man. At the end of the day, if it's taco night, you know it's going to be a good night.
Yeah, so it's a good night. It's a good night, definitely.
But of course, I'm not going to take you away from your evening too long. But I got to take you back to the beginning of GoldenBoy, and I have to ask, how did yourself and the rest of the members first meet and come together to form this amazing band in 1999? Like, how did you all first meet?
It actually started a little bit before 1999 because me and my longtime friend Nils, we started another band when we went to college called Plush. That was more like a grunge thing. So we started a band in 1996, 97, and then when I started studying music at the Teachers Academy here in Bergen, I met some other our guitar player Gerta and our drummer BT. So we ended up starting a pop punk band called GoldenBoy. So we started up late '99, so almost going on for 25 years now.
I gotta say, it's insane just to know that 99 is almost 25 years ago, man. I personally, I remember the year 99. It was an amazing year, very much simpler time than what 2023 is, obviously, but it's crazy just to know that's almost 25 years ago, man. It definitely blows your mind how quickly time truly passes.
We're getting old.
That is true. The lower back pain is already starting to set in.
Yeah.
But also as well, July 27th of 2004, you guys actually released the phenomenal 10-track album titled Right Kind of Wrong on Fast Music Records. And this is actually the album that I discovered you guys on way back in the day. But I was wondering if you can actually just tell us the story behind this earlier released album. And of course, with the 20th anniversary coming up next year, do you guys have any plans to kind of re-release it as a 20th anniversary edition?
That was a good idea. But no, we released Right Kind of Wrong, which is actually our debut album. We released 3 EPs in the beginning of the 2000s, and then we ended up recording an album, our first album, Right Kind of Wrong. We got some help on the production side by the famous Perry Lenhouse and Vince Corman from the Travoltas, which is a Dutch amazing band. They helped us. They came over to Bergen, and we spent a week or two in the studio together and recorded 10 songs, which ended up to be on the album Right Kind of Wrong. And after shipping it to a couple of different labels, things were a little bit different way back then. So we had to ship them by mail on CDs. So we ended up getting some positive feedback from Past Music. But also from Cold Front Records and Brett Matthews, legendary label as well. So they ended up releasing Right Kind of Wrong as a split release. No, that was a very, very good time for us. And we had, from 2001 to 2004, we did actually tour the U.S. 4 summers in a row. So the first summer of 2001, we played like 5 gigs in a summer, and in 2004 we ended up like doing 25-30 gigs. So that was a good year for us. And Right Kind of Wrong and some singles from there ended up on a couple of compilations, Amp magazines, Pop Punk Sampler, and also Pop Punk Fever and so on. So we got quite a little bit of buzz going around some singles, The Challenge, for instance, and In a Year or Two, which were played quite frequently on underground radio stations, and also, yeah, so that was a nice start for us.
And when you mentioned as well about how you actually sent CDs to different labels as well, is that actually how Fast Music actually originally distributed this album on the North American circuit, by you sending them a copy, or did they discover you guys in a separate way as well?
No, they actually discovered us. I think actually it was Brett Matthews and Cold Front Records who discovered us at first, and then we ended up having contact with Neil Gamfloy and Fast Music as well, and they discussed back and forth, and they ended up releasing it as a split release. But it was originally a Fast Music release, but Cold Front Records, I think they were the ones who discovered us first, actually. Yeah.
And honestly, I really wish they would go back to split releases. I do know some independent bands are still doing it and kind of reviving that, but I really do wish labels would actually do like a split releases again, man, because if you take two separate fan bases from two separate bands and put them together, I mean, it's such a phenomenal like promotional gimmick, in my honest opinion. And it's great for the fans as well, because you might be buying it for like GoldenBoy, and then the other fans might be buying it for the other band, but yet they're discovering the other band. You know, I think it's such an amazing promotional aspect.
Yeah, I think the split releases are also, but this was two labels working together, splitting the release of GoldenBoy. So it was only a GoldenBoy album, but also the split release idea, like releasing an album or an EP together with another band. I think it's a fabulous idea. Yeah, I always wanted to do a split release with Travolta's, for instance. So yeah.
It sounds like that. So have you ever tried to reach out and see if you can make that a possibility? I mean, because I know yourself and them, they're both obviously independent now, so it might be a lot easier to kind of coordinate that.
Yeah, we're frequently in touch with Perry from the Travoltas. So right now we are working on something different for our new album. So let's see what happens.
And also as well, in the early 2000s, I know you actually just mentioned this a few moments ago, but you guys had the opportunity to do 4 United States tours with just about 100 concerts in 25 separate states. Looking back on those North American tours, what was one of your most fondest memories you actually shared in the United States? And of course, how did the United States overall perceive your guys' music?
Oh, there were 4 very different tours, because the first one in 2001, we arranged it all by ourselves from Norway through emails and phone calls and so on, and we ended up just doing five gigs on the West Coast, like in San Diego and Orange County and Los Angeles. But then after that, we got in touch with Arlen Hamilton, who is now a very famous investor. And she ended up booking 3 tours for us, actually, taking us from Florida to Texas to San Diego to Ohio, and we ended up playing almost 100 gigs in 25 states. And I think maybe the best part of it was to see so many different places in the States, and of course also going to California for us with the music that we play and that we grew up with, most of it from California. It was a really, really nice thing for us, and to get feedback from people in the industry and also like hardcore pop punk fans. It's also really important for us in the beginning of the 2000s. So it was an amazing experience, and would really like to come back once, but now it's been 20 years. So and we are all getting old and have our normal jobs and our families, and so might be a little bit difficult to go over there again, but we'll see.
And when you were actually over there doing these North American tours, did you ever get a chance to actually venture into Canada and actually do a couple of shows as well? Because I do know a lot of bands when they do tours and they call it North America, it normally includes a majority of the states, but also sprinkled in a couple Canadian dates.
I would really, really love to go to Canada, but we never experienced Canada. No, I'm really sorry about that.
Hey, it is all good. I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds bad. Normally, here in Canada, we do get concerts. I'm not going to make it sound like we don't, but normally all the great American tours they only come to Canada maybe for like one or two shows, and they jet
Mm,
right back across the border. So it's like
yeah,
you got to have the money right off the bat to buy the tickets, and you got to have the hotel and travel expenses. So I always say Canada tends to get shafted a little bit.
yeah. We're not too spoiled with good punk rock shows here in Norway either, so know the feeling. We know the feeling.
And also as well, you guys also had the opportunity to be a part of many compilation projects, but the one that
Yeah,
I actually remember you guys the most from was actually Punk in Disguise, where you actually had multiple songs on Volume 1 and Volume 2 editions as well. I think Volume 1 was 4 songs, Volume 2 was 3. But from what you
yeah.
actually can recall, how did you guys actually land your music on these phenomenal compilations? And of course, was there ever actually a third? And if so, why weren't you guys featured on the third if there wasn't a third release?
Yeah, that was a local compilation, I think, organized by a friend of ours, KJL. He also has his own project, and he's been a really, really good organizer and promoter, and also musician, a punk rocker. He took us on tour actually to the Netherlands and Poland and Denmark back in 2005, I think it was, together with his band and also a couple of other bands, one of them, McDolly. And we did these compilations to promote local punk rock from Bergen and also from Norway before going on tour. Later on, he has also been releasing some compilations for China because he has also been touring a lot in China with his projects, and we have also made some compilations called Bergen Rock City, or he did this. We joined on one of those compilations, and they have been distributed in China actually. So it's worldwide.
It definitely sounds like he is definitely onto some amazing things, and China is another country that absolutely loves punk rock. They go absolutely excuse my language, batshit crazy when they actually hear
Oh
some
yeah,
punk rock in their country.
yeah. We were
And also,
supposed
we
to
have a
go
fan star.
to we were supposed to go on tour to China actually, but we were stopped by the volcano ashes from Iceland. So I didn't get my plane ticket to China that time. So a bummer, but
I gotta say, I'm deeply sorry about that, but hopefully that opportunity comes back around for you guys, because I know China would absolutely eat your guys' music up, man. I've heard some
yeah,
crazy stories about punk rock shows out there in China.
I think they were wild. Yeah.
But we also have a fan question from UGHC who actually wants to know what punk rock bands inspired you guys.
When we started off, it was like we listened to a lot of Swedish punk rock, and also a lot of Swedish pop music. We listened a lot to Millencolin and No Fun at All, and also Swedish singing bands like Dia Salma and Carter 77 and so on. Later on, I must admit that one of my biggest influences will be Tony Sly and No Use for a Name, of course. Also, like bands like MXPX, Yusuf ID, yeah. And also back in '94, of course, like Weezer, Green Day, Offspring, yeah. Been
And
listening
also,
a lot to. The thing that impresses me most about Tony Sly is his songwriting, and we've never been very interested in doing punk rock just for doing punk rock. We want to write music and we want to write good melodies and as good as lyrics as possible. and Tony Sly has been a major influence in that point.
And also as well, November 17th of 2023, so I know we're jumping across the spectrum here quite a bit year-wise, but you guys actually released your most recent single titled My Name is Dad. I was wondering if you can actually just tell us a bit more about your most recently released single, and of course, where can we actually snag ourselves a copy of this phenomenal hit today?
Yeah, My Name is Dad, and also the first single, Rated R, they are so far only available digitally all over the streaming services. But we are working on, back to the discussion about split releases, we are working on trying to get the album, Quambum, which will be released in January. We are working on getting that released on vinyl. So hopefully there will be a label or two who wants to pick it up. About the song My Name is Dad, that might be the most different song and the most sad song I've ever written. Me and my wife went through catastrophe 2 years ago, and we lost our 5-day-old son after a hospital mistake. So we spent 5 days in a hospital since his birth, and then we came home without a baby boy. And the same night I wrote a song, and that is My Name is Dad. And that, to be honest, that is the reason why we are recording a new album, because I've never written so much music as I have for the last 2 years since we lost him. So I wrote a very different song, a very down-tempo and acoustic song, and I think it's beautiful, and I'm really proud of it. And I also have my oldest son, Vatla. He is joining me on the vocals for this one. So it's a very emotional song for me. And to be quite honest, again, I'm not too worried about other people think about it, because for me it's a song that means so much, and it isn't just a song. It's more like a therapy session for me, and it has helped me to get through catastrophe. So that's My Name is Dad.
And I just want to say, without prying and getting into the song, my sincere condolences, man. I couldn't imagine that loss, but from everyone here at Punk World Radio, our deepest condolences.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
And I do know you mentioned throughout the interview, actually, as well, that Norway doesn't get a lot of punk rock shows, unfortunately. But UGHC actually wants to know, how is the punk rock scene out there in Norway when you guys do get shows? Do people slam dance and stage dive and stuff like that?
Well, it's actually a quite good punk rock scene in Norway nowadays. It's way better now than it was in '99, because when we started up in '99, we didn't follow the punk rock code, so it was more like competition between bands, and yeah, we got called up, called a lot of things when we started a pop punk band. You know, it wasn't real punk rock. So, but now it's a real good scene going on, especially in the capital Oslo, but also here in Bergen. We got a couple of bands. We even got a new festival up and running, Shaking Fest, which is arranged by the great band Still Shaking, which also is a Bergen punk rock band you should check out. And in Oslo, there are a lot of great bands and also a lot of great venues, small capacity-wise, but really really good venues, and also a good crowd with slam dance and stage dives and beer and punk rock. Speaking of beer.
And also as well, when you actually, because I know you spoke briefly about the brand new album that's coming next year, but I was wondering if you, from what you are allowed to speak about, can you tell us a bit more about what songs you guys have already created for this up and coming project? And of course, what can the GoldenBoy fans actually expect from these songs when they do drop in the new year?
I think they can expect it will be 11 new songs. We've already released 2 of them as singles. So it will be additional 9 songs. It will be pop punk, and it will be GoldenBoy. You will recognize them as GoldenBoy songs, but still it will be a little bit different. Like I said, like I mentioned, this album is, in a way, or most of the songs have been created after our loss in January 2022. But there are also some older songs in there, and I think it's a quite good mix of the later years from GoldenBoy. It's quite diverse, so it's a lot of different songs, some up-tempo pop-punk, classic pop-punk songs, and some like big rock songs, and some acoustic, or one acoustic song. So I'm really, really proud of our new album. It's almost ready, but I think we are going to postpone the release a little bit, but in the end of January, start of February, it will be up and running.
Hey, like the old saying goes, Togel, good things come to those who wait, and as a fellow GoldenBoy fan, I'm pretty sure I could wait a few more months to get my hands on this new record.
Looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
But I have to ask, obviously we talked about this brand new album, we dug into it a little bit, but aside from the brand new album coming out next year, what is next for yourself and the rest of GoldenBoy? Like, is there anything we happen to miss during this evening's interview? Like, anything else you do still want to talk about, touch on, or promote? Well, we actually still got you here live on the radio station airwaves.
Of course, we want to promote the release as much as possible, but first and foremost here in Norway. So we are going to do a couple of release shows here in Bergen and in the capital, and maybe also in the big cities of Norway. And we are, of course, always thinking about good ideas to get going on tour again, even for just a small tour a week or so. So we are very open for ideas and invitations. So just let us know if you want us to play your town, and we will be listening.
And I have to ask, obviously I know how to follow you guys on social media, but for the individuals that are might just be discovering GoldenBoy here today, but I will say if you are just discovering GoldenBoy, you definitely have to get up on their music. But how can we actually go about following you guys across all social media platforms if we're not already doing so?
You should follow us on Facebook, of course, GoldenBoy Bergen, in one word. Instagram is the same, GoldenBoy Bergen, and Twitter, or X as you call it now, GoldenBoy Bergen, and yeah, we're even on TikTok, I think. Not a lot of videos up, but we are on TikTok, GoldenBoy Bergen. Bandcamp also, GoldenBoy Bergen.
And I gotta say, first and foremost, thank you so much for giving not only myself, but the radio station airways a bit of your time here this evening, and just working around the time zones, so I know this is a big time jump here versus Canada and Norway, but thank you so much for making this happen, man. It was such an honor speaking with Norway's finest. Hopefully when this new album actually gets released, we can coordinate this again and get yourself and the rest of the band on the radio station airways. But for now, definitely have yourself a phenomenal rest of the night out there in Norway, and of course, a killer weekend as well, man. We definitely shall talk soon, Togel.
Thank you, and the same to you, and thanks for having me.
Hey, you are most certainly welcome. We definitely shall talk here soon. Thank you so much again.
Thanks. Bye-bye.